So alternative payments is the vast majority of payment methods in the gaming industry, simply because of the fact that our industry is being used by digital natives, and they primarily use alternative payment methods. Mobile payment has been playing a large share in the past and still does. So last year, 20% of our payment volume was initiated by mobile payments, and it could be much more. Because we are trying to avoid customers using mobile payments, because when we talk about mobile payments, it's carrier billing that is very expensive, and we try to move customers away from carrier billing mobile payments to alternative payment methods that are much cheaper, and therefore it could be easily double the size of our share of checkout. Looking at PSPs, and there's a lot of PSPs pitching in our industry, I still miss a focus on good user experience. So there's a lot of PSPs who actually have asked for too much data elements at the payment methods, who have kind of good or less good screens where customers enter the data. In our industry, conversion is one of the most important things because every abundant transaction has a direct impact on our profits, because we produce the digital sword only once, and if we sell it one time or 5 million times, it doesn't make a huge difference because the costs are exactly the same. So therefore, every abundant transaction is missed profit for us, and we push our PSPs a lot to come up with convenient, hassle-free payment flows. And there it makes a huge difference between the different PSPs. So the product is exactly the same. It's always credit card transaction, always PayPal or whatever, but how customers are seeing it, how customers enter the data varies heavily between the PSPs. And therefore, we always push the PSPs to come up with convenient solutions to minimize the abandon rate and increase the conversion. Well, as mentioned, one of the main pain points is that customers see data elements that are not needed, see screens where the PSP brand is bigger than the end consumer brand, and all that stuff. So it's basically the usual conversion optimization pain points, and that lead to abundance of the consumers, because it's too much data elements that are not needed, too much clicks that are not needed, and therefore, those are the pain points that we're trying to eliminate. So I know that multi-channel is a big issue for traditional, or big new trend for traditional e-retailers. For us, it's not that the case, because gaming is pretty much dependent on the game, and the game determines the way you play. So, for example, a mobile device is primarily being used if you wait for the bus or the tube. Games who just try to spend 5 or 10 minutes are completely different games compared to games that you play for 1 or 2 hours. And therefore, the entry mode, how you actually interact in the game, is completely different. So a game that is primarily produced for a smartphone won't actually work at home on your browser that actually allows you to spend 2 hours. Therefore, yes, there's multi-channel with regard to the games, but the game determines the device that you're playing on, and therefore it is basically then determined on the payment method, because if you talk about smartphones and tablets, it's basically all Google and an Apple payment and no other payment options, while if you're talking about the browser or the TV screen, it's a completely different other user experience that allows much more payment methods. Yes, fraud is of course a big issue in the gaming industry, because we have friendly fraud as well as real fraud, and of course we're having complex risk systems to try to fight that fraud. Those risk systems actually work across channels. So of course we do see the customer behavior, the customer that might be blocked on the traditional web browser is identified on the mobile side and will then probably also be blocked there and vice versa. So we're taking the data that we're collecting via the channels and consolidating them in the risk engine to have a holistic overview of the customer, how the customer interacts, and basically then looking at the risk score and the cutoff, if the customer will see all payment methods, if the customer will just see selective payment methods, or if the customer cannot pay at all because their account is blocked or frozen.